Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. If you're new, you're very welcome. I'm Jane and my husband Mike is behind the camera. We're British, early retirees, debt and mortgage free and living a thrifty, frugal and money saving life on a super tight budget. And every Wednesday we invite you into our home for a mid-week money chat. And if you like the video that you see today, make sure that you hit that like button. At the beginning of every video, we tell you that we are thrifty and that we are frugal, that we are money savers, that we are debt free, that we are mortgage free. But it wasn't always like that. We didn't become like that until 2009. And before that, we lived very, very normal lives. We were always trying to have a better car, better clothes, a better house. And because of that, we, like mainstream society, were overspenders. What's an overspender, you might be thinking? It's the opposite of somebody who saves more than they spend. We're now the opposite of the mainstream part of society. We definitely save more than we spend. But we're going to share with you today about all those things that we used to overspend on. And that's the first half of the video. We'll share that. We made all the mistakes of everybody else. We are only human. The second half of the video, we'll talk about how we changed. So how we went from being overspenders to frugal. Let's start off with talking about how we were overspenders of the things for inside our home. My home has always meant absolutely everything to me. To have a nice house is very important to me. It's very important to Mike. But we used to go completely overboard with that. So if I did up a room and I bought paint, it had to be Laura Ashley paint or it had to be Fired Earth paint. I wanted it to be of a real standard. If we bought sofas, we had a big Laura Ashley store in town. It was so easy to go in and buy Laura Ashley sofas, stick it on the credit card. We might pay that off in 6 months, but in 6 months' time, you bet we'll be in the electrical store because if I wanted a cooker, well, it had to be Smeg. It had to be a certain brand. Of course we would pay that off, but we were always running debt. Although we would run debt, pay it off, run debt, pay it off, we were always running debt to do things to our house. So there were things like we did up the garden. In an inner city in the UK, a garden is literally a concreted yard. It's a very small space, about the size of my living room here. And that would be considered a large space for inner city. So we had it paved, so we had raised beds built. So we did all of these things, but we were always spending money on our house. And you know why we were spending money on our house? Because that was normal. It was all about curb appeal. It was all about your house having the wow factor. And we spent money. We never got so much in debt that, we ran debt for years and years and years. We used to, like I said, build up debt, pay it off, build up debt, pay it off. But nonetheless, we spent much too much money on stuff for the inside of our house. It was overspending. We could have done things more cheaply, and we'll explain that later on in the video. The next thing that we spent way too much money on was having too much house. Now I'm going to put a little bit of a, hang on a minute, there is a reason for this. We bought our house in 2007. I had changed jobs, I had got a considerable promotion, I'd gone from being a teacher with no responsibility to a teacher with a lot of responsibility and a huge promotion. And we needed to move house to a house equidistant between my new job and Mike's job. And just at that moment in time, the property market was absolutely bonkers. As fast as we tried to find a house, it would sell. So we ended up doing that thing that a lot of people, we've done it, some people have done. In desperation, we bought the house that was available to us and we paid way too much money. And we had an enormous mortgage and we were stretched to the point of squeaking. I think we thought that we could flip that house as we had done with our two previous houses, that we could do some improvements to it and that we could sell it on maybe in 2 or 3 years' time. We did not know in 2007. Did you know? Because I didn't know that 2008 and a global banking crash would happen. Certainly couldn't foresee that one. So we really did overspend. And it was our dream house. And to this day, we can't believe we ever lived in a house as nice as that. You might be in Australia watching this, or Canada or America watching this, and your house might be on a big lot and you might be able to park 3 or 4 cars outside. That's millionaires territory for the UK. So when we had a house that was what's called detached, that had a garage, that had off-street parking, it had a garden, it had a view of the countryside, there was a summer house in the garden. When we had all of that, it was like we had hit house pinnacle, absolute house pinnacle. And we completely overspent to do it. We had modest salaried jobs and we absolutely pushed ourselves. I can remember people coming to visit us. I can remember family and friends coming to visit us and all of them loving the property. You know, we got lots of happiness out of that, but we couldn't afford it. I mean, we could pay the mortgage, we could pay the bills, but it really pushed us. And it meant when anyone is overspending, they're not oversaving, are they? Because they're living life to the absolute edge of their spending limits. So there's something else that we did in the past, and we'll share with you later on the video how we changed that. The next thing that I spent way too much money on was just living, really. We really did spend too much money on living. I started teaching in 2002, and the noughties in the UK was a time of absolute boom, of absolute spending euphoria. And I'm going to list now things that, reflecting on this now, because I'm a different person now from the person I was then. Here's an example. I wore makeup every single day to work. I was a teacher, and teachers very much in British schools wear formal wear. You're expected to be very smart and very professional. So it was perfectly normal for women, if they chose to do so, to be in there in a full face of makeup. And my makeup had to be long form. So my fragrances equally. I mean, I can remember my favourite fragrance was Dior. It sounds crazy saying that now, but it was. And I love Miss Dior, for example. And Chanel. Coco Mademoiselle. I distinctly remember being my signature perfume. Fancy doing that? It's crazy to think that now. But it was so normal. You know, and it was cheaper then. It definitely was cheaper then. But to clothing, you know, formal wear, I would go from dark suits in the winter to linen suits in the summer. I loved monsoon to wear at the weekend. I loved to get my suits from Wallace and Next. All my shoes always came from Clarks, so we spent a lot of money on shoes and bags. In fact, I've still got the same bag that I bought them now, because it was, you know, good Clarks leather bag. And the other things that really mattered, you couldn't rock up into your workplace car park in a car that was unreliable. If you say, well, I couldn't get to work on time because my car is unreliable, you'd be disciplined for that in your workplace. That would be a serious reprimand. And it was also seen very much as commitment to your workplace if you invested in yourself. Something else that I did as a teacher then, sort of something to do to get promotions, to get noticed, is that I spent a huge amount of money on classroom resources myself. I bought whole sets of class books, you know, costing like £300 or £400 for the whole class to have books, because I didn't want to go cap in hand to the budget holder saying I need this. So I wanted my students to do well. I was so ambitious that I would just spend that money. So yes, there were times where, to me, it was like, it didn't matter what it cost, because you just did what everybody else did to get ahead, to be seen as professional from what you look like, and even things like taking in the right lunchbox. even, I mean, it sounds ridiculous now to be seen in the right car, but it mattered to me then. As I said to you, I'm a very different person now, and let's now talk about how we went from being overspenders to frugal. The first part of us, really embracing frugality is when we sort of went, oh, you know what, we're in debt and we paid it off. And that's a whole different story for another time. We'll put a link below to how we actually did that. We looked at the property that we were in and realised we did have to do some stuff to it. But gone was the days of we're going to buy this paint from Fired Earth or anything like that. And we got really, really sensible. And what we did with our house that we needed to sell is realise that what it needs to be is fresh, simple and clean. We painted the entire house off-white, the whole house off-white, inside and out. So it was all repainted and fresh and clean. When we went to recarpet, and this is something we have done in every single one of our British houses, when we come to the time of selling, we recarpet it, but we don't do that until we're about to sell it. And what we do is we go one up from the bottom. We don't buy the kind of trade carpet that people put in rental properties. We come one up from that. And we come about 3 up from the bottom for the underlay and get the whole place carpeted and put through. And what we did was we downsized. And when we downsized, we were even more sensible because at this stage we're completely debt free. We only ever paid for things when we saved for them. We had the windows at the front replaced. Then we saved up, then we had the windows at the back replaced. We did very little to the house at all. We did not replace the kitchen. We did not replace the bathroom. We did very sensible things. We replaced the wood burning stove. We replaced the central heating boiler. But we didn't ever replace the built-in hob and built-in oven. And in the end, that oven was on or it was off, but it cooked. And it did us, and it was okay. We did things like in the end with our bathroom, which was had sort of woodwork in the bathroom where it sort of fitted in. We just sanded it and we just painted it. We needed some repairs done. We did all ourselves. So did some regrouting of the floor. But we really, really learned not to spend too much money on the house, not to spend too much money on the mortgage, and not to spend too much money on the inside of the house. At the time, and this is right place, right time, we really were able to buy really good things secondhand. And Facebook Marketplace had opened up and we were able to buy things like curtains. We were able to get stuff very cheaply secondhand that was very good quality because other people were just upgrading. So there's the first part of it. We just stopped spending too much money on the inside of our house, but maintained it. Comfortable and stylish house. The next part of frugality for me was that I was still teaching, I was still doing my job, I still had to look professional, but I could get away because no one ever knew, because I didn't tell them, because I felt no compunction to, is I stopped buying all the expensive stuff. And I started getting my work clothes from Asda. I started getting my work clothes from Sainsbury's, for example, or from Matalan. And I was also adding in lots of items that were good quality, but secondhand, from charity shops. And we often talk about a time when we would go to a charity shop in a good town like Totnes, and you could just hit a scene. It's like a woman, my size, my age, had taken all her clothes in there, and I walked out with all of them, and those became my work clothes for the rest of the year. And I still had to do things like put up classroom displays and things in my classroom, but I was tired of spending all that money. What I would do then is I would get a membership to the local scrap store who recycle a lot of stuff, and I would spend pennies, not pounds, on my classroom displays. And also at this stage, I had always done things to earn extra money, from private tutoring to exam marking. And at one stage, there was exams to be marked in November, January, and the summer terms. And what I was doing with all of that as I was earning as much money as I could, but saving it. And it was an absolute revelation. And it really didn't make any difference, did it? If I was wearing my makeup from Aldi, I started wearing fragrance and perfume from Lidl, and I still buy perfume from Lidl now. I still buy skincare products from Lidl now. I really think they're very, very good. So I really drastically changed, but I totally believe that you can dress really well and you can buy very affordable clothes, and you have to decide whether it's good quality to you or not. I know that I can get a supermarket t-shirt or top and get 2 or 3 years wear out of it. It's perfectly good enough for me. I know I can go and get myself a pair of €18 pair of jeans and again get 2 or 3 years wear out of it. Perfectly good enough for me. I think it comes with maturity and sensibility as you get older, that you realise you can be frugal and look professional and do your job and look okay. And to this day, I didn't have anybody in my workplace who said to me, "Oh, you look really good, those clothes must be expensive," or "You don't look too good, those clothes mustn't cost you so much money." Because actually, people are not that bothered. So there's another thing I went from being overspender to frugal. Biggest change for us was the big change that we made when I started sharing our life on social media, and I started my blog Frugal Queen. So it was when Frugal Queen was born, when it happened to start with. And when I started doing that, and people started taking notice and people started sharing their feedback and their lives, it made me realise that actually being frugal or thrifty or careful with your money or budgeting is not as niche as you think it is. We think that everybody's out there overspending, everybody's out there wasting their money, everybody's out there eating out, going on holiday, buying new kitchens. Well, they are not. You're not, are you? You're sat here watching me today, and I know all of you who comment, you're not either. And we're very, very much part of mainstream society now. The cost of living crisis has really brought out the thriftiness and the frugality in people who always knew what to do, but are doing it more than ever. And I very, very much value the frugal community. I value when you share the way you live. I really value the community that we have on Facebook with people who share everything that they do as well to save money and to budget. And occasionally, I would say once a week, we get some absolutely lovely feedback from people who say, "I didn't know how to budget until we watched your channel," or "We didn't know how to save money on food until I saw your shopping hauls," and those type of things. And it is so encouraging to see that. And I really appreciate all of you who share that with us. So no, we are not as quirky or as niche or as far from mainstream as we thought we are. There is a big community of people out there saving money, living a thrifty and frugal life, budgeting each and every month. And do you know what? I think we're doing a pretty good job of it. So there you are, a few examples, because there are many more, of how we were very much overspenders in the past and how we embraced the frugal life after that. Now, we love to hear from you. Is there anything that I've shared with you today that you can say, "Yeah, we've done that in the past. We definitely used to spend too much money"? I'd love to hear from all of you. If you've enjoyed the video today, make sure that you hit that like button. And something else, we know half of you watching are not subscribers. It costs you nothing to be a subscriber. See that little notification bell? So hit that and you won't miss any of our videos, because we put out 3 videos a week. And we will see you again soon. Bye for now.